widely adopted in schools, not just in America, but around the world. What do you see as the biggest barriers to entry?
Well, I'd like to go back up for a second to the conversation about where have we gone for 5 years, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, so coming from the classroom into the corporate world where we actually do make these products and sell these products and actually put them into the classroom, I feel like we have changed. I left the classroom from using overhead projector thinking I was the most techie person in the building to now when my friends are actually using interactive whiteboards in their classroom, it becomes more of an 80-20, 80 students, 20 teachers. So the students are more involved, actually getting up from their seats, participating, using, and engaging. And then if I had to talk about the biggest barrier, it would probably have to be cost. Those are the things that keep schools and school districts from getting all the things that we all know that will help students learn better and engage better. I always had a theory when I was teaching, if we don't have a plan for them, they'll have a plan for us. And we can't do dry erase board, chalkboards, overhead projectors when these students are going home and actually having an Xbox, a PlayStation, Googling their own web page, their own website. So we have to actually catch up with them.
Say that they're a lot more advanced.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot more. I mean, I don't have any children of my own, but my niece, at 2 years old, she wants me to send her an email. So they're definitely a lot more advanced. So in the classrooms, we have to be ready for her to come to school by the time she's 5, have something in classroom that's going to keep her attention.
So one of the things that I'll just jump in and share one of my own experiences is that I just was at my alma mater, my high school last week, which is the leading K through 12 private school in Western Pennsylvania, and the entire senior school has adopted active boards in the classrooms. My nieces and nephews that are all in high school, they don't need to lug around all of those big books anymore. When they come home at the end of the day, all of their not only class logs and lesson plans they can access from the computer, but most of the chapters from their books, so that sort of huge cost of having to buy all of their books, both in the high school and collegiate level, has actually decreased. And it's also helped, from what I've heard, tremendously for parents to help understand and build the parent-teacher relationship better, because they can see what the lessons plans are, and it's not just when they go in for parent-teacher conferences. And also that Ferris Bueller day off mentality doesn't apply as much, where kids can say, we didn't know what the lesson plan was, we didn't know that we had a quiz the next day, we didn't know these things were happening, because it's right there in front of them when they get home at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
It definitely boosts accountability.
Jump in and say?
Yeah, I think parents are the key to bridging the technical divide in the classroom. I think the teachers are motivated, the school districts are absolutely motivated. We know it makes for better learning, but the parents are the ones that are going to vote on it, whether they're voting at the district level or whether they're raising funds to their school carnival to pay for it. So helping those parents understand how come that is so critical for their kids to be technologically ready and engaged in the classroom, and to both fund that teacher training to make it effective, I think is one of the critical pieces that's often missing as we're trying to help districts adopt new technology. And I'm noticing in the chat that we're seeing that some people think a lot of the teachers are motivated. They don't think a lot of the teachers are motivated as well.
And I would
Karen,
guess
anecdotally. Sorry, it's the delay.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Anecdotally, from my fiance is teaching in a 7th grade. Is teaching 7th grade science in the dual language middle school here in New York City. And in that situation, Karen, I just want to echo what you said for sure. about the parents. There is a whole context around change for these systems. The parents have a huge effect of change in the higher education sphere as well, with admissions and what they expect about the interaction with their students. In that situation, in these family units that are typically single-parent families, and they're working many jobs, there's not the pressure on the teachers. There's not the awareness of the technology. There is not the parent ecosystem that you're so wonderfully representative of what the possibilities are when the parents get involved and when they ask for these things and insist on these things and especially, amazingly, help fund these things. That's incredible. So forgive me if my view sounds a little jaded. I think that in that ecosystem there are many, many challenges, and sometimes when the grants come down to buy the equipment, the focus is still so much on basic English competency and getting students up to grade level with the test or approximating grade level with the test, that the technology is the promise of the technology and the possibility of technology is farther up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and often it's hard to get there without the parents pushing.
Interesting about that is, yes, my daughter's in public school, but it's in a district that has very active parents. That said, there's a lot of resistance to bring smart boards in the classroom. I mean, it was not an easy check to write. We do have 2 cows, which are the computers on wheels. So anything that's on wheels that can be moved and shared is more likely to go on. They recently funded putting iPods in the kindergarten to help with reading and letters, and it was hugely difficult to get that passed through the PTO because people said, what about all the cassette tapes that they already have that they can listen to things? So you have to realize the parents have not been in an integrative classroom. They really don't understand what kind of doors can be opened by giving their children access to technology. So I think if we can help the parents understand how much better and enriched and accelerated their children's experience can be, then they can get behind the technology in the classroom. But until they understand that, chalk work for them, it's very difficult for them to take that next step.
Help that is we have a lot of schools that have the active board, and what they do, and they incorporate, it's like a parent night in order to introduce this crazy technology to the parents so they can be aware of what their children are getting, be aware of what they wrote those checks for. A lot of schools will bring the technology in, and the parent has no idea what it is. So the kids will go home and say, oh, we have an active board or we have a Promethean board, and they have no idea what that is. So a lot of schools have started incorporating parent night. And so what happens is when the technology comes to school, they put all the boards up, they install everything, and then they have a parent night. They invite parents, they bring balloons and treats and cupcakes and so on and so forth. And then that gets the parents excited about the product that what their kids are excited about.
Brilliant idea, and I think the more that you can engage them in the same tool their kids are learning, the better.
Yeah.
We've gotten a great question in the text question area that we're going to have popped up onto the screen in just a moment. It's from Shelley Terrell. Thank you so much, Shelley. How do we make technology normalized? What is preventing technology from being normalized, which I think is a little bit of what you each have discussed, Kevin, in terms of the professional development from an academic standpoint. Karen talking about parents coming in, and Adelma, that sort of one-to-one that you almost have to do with parents. So, Adelma, maybe if you could just kick that off. What do we do to make technology normalized for
Well, I think the first thing, and I think that kind of goes back to what we were speaking about before, is getting the parents involved. I think the reason that it's not so normalized is because people are afraid of what they don't know. And so the idea that their children, when someone thinks of technology, they think of the internet and they think of their children being in unsafe places. So I think once we start engaging everybody from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, everybody aware of what's going into the school building, it will become more normal, but it's the fear. So we have to get rid of the fear. Or that my children aren't learning because they don't have a book in front of them.